Most of us are struggling at a game we never even chose to play. I spent years climbing the corporate ladder only to realize that I was using a scorecard that was actually intended to keep me miserable. I got everything that I thought that I wanted. I got this dream salary, I got the dream title, and the ideal city, even. And at the end of the day, it felt like I was actually playing out a lie. I had every marking of success, but I actually felt dead inside. And everything for me changed when I realized it wasn't me that was necessarily a problem, but the scorecard that I was measuring myself against. In order to experience real success, I ended up having to redefine the word entirely. Before I graduated from college, I imagined success for me would look like the typical story: graduating, getting the job, getting married, getting the house, and starting a family. What I assume a lot of people are hoping for when they graduate from college. My reality was actually a nightmarish experience. And I kept telling myself that it was going to get better and I just had to keep at it. Here's what I learned: you can blame the system all you want. And I'm not going to lie to you, being black and queer in this world creates real barriers that should not exist. And the reality is, they do exist. So, at some point, you have to decide, am I going to allow these barriers to continue to bar me from the success that I've once dreamed of? Am I going to let these broken systems define my worth and define how I view myself? Or am I going to build out my own set of values and live by my own set of values so that I can define success on my own terms and actually live by my own scorecard? I decided to go for option 2. I decided to create my own scorecard and redefine what productive and successful actually looked like for me. Before I redefined success on my own terms, a successful day for me would look like getting as much work done as I possibly could. I focused on how many lines of code did I check in, how many lines of code did I write, how many lines of code did I review today, and I thought of that as a real measure of how well the day went. Now the problem was, no matter how much I produced, no matter how many lines of code I wrote, I still felt empty. I still felt like I didn't have a great day. And I realized that this sunken feeling that I was experiencing was a result of getting that external validation from these different people who were in my environment, whether that be my manager or my coworkers or my peers. I thought, what did my coworkers think of me? What does my boss think of me? And did I contribute enough to our team discussions? I was actually sacrificing my self-perception in an attempt to be seen by people who didn't even truly respect or value my input. People who would, in all likelihood, right, never truly recognize my worth. I sincerely thought that I was supposed to base my self-worth off of what others thought of me, thought of my work, thought of my behavior. And I felt the most disconnected from myself when I was directly measuring myself against others or against the work of others. In fact, where I worked in big tech, that was something that was really encouraged of all employees. For sure, measure yourself against your coworker, measure yourself against someone who is supposed to be on your team so that we can stack rank, so that we can promote you or compensate you based off of this specific performance. Now, my view of myself matters more than anyone else's. And that makes all the sense in the world because I'm the only one who has to live my life. You are the only one who has to live your life. So, how do you determine what metrics you are basing your idea of success on? I created a 5-question success audit. It takes about 20 seconds to run through it. And this is 5 questions that one can ask themselves to determine what model of success they may be following. Is it a model of success that has more capitalistic or extractive values in them? Or is it a model of success that emphasizes your feelings of liberation, emphasizes your feelings of inner contentment? The first thing I want you to ask yourself is, when you think I had a successful day, what made it successful? If you immediately thought, oh, well, I completed my to-do list, I got recognition for something I did at work, I made progress on this big project that we're doing at my job right now, or maybe I was busy all day, I was in meetings all day, and I hit all of my productivity targets. That line of thinking may derive from having more of that capitalist mindset, or rather the worker mindset that capitalists attempt to drill into everyone's brains. On the other side of the story, one who has a liberated mindset, or a mindset that is based off of more liberatory values, you may say something like, well, I felt like I made some meaningful connections or had some meaningful conversations. I felt like I took really good care of my mind and my body today. You might say something like, I said no to things that I knew would drain me and held really firm to my boundaries today. And I felt present and really peaceful today as well. The second question you can ask yourself, what's the first thing you check when you want to feel good about yourself? Right? Someone with that worker capitalist mentality might say something like, oh, I checked my bank account, checked my follower count, I checked how many messages I had available, or some performance metrics perhaps that, showed me that I was doing a good job, right? On the other side of the spectrum, those with that liberated mindset may say something like, oh, I don't know, how does my body feel? Am I living in accordance with my values? Do I feel like I have quality relationships and folks that I can really depend on? Next thing I want you to do is complete this sentence. I'll know I'm successful when blank. I'll know I'm successful when I make X amount of money, when I have X amount of money in my bank account, when I have a certain job title, or maybe when I own property, or when I'm recognized as an expert in my field, or if I have a certain amount of followers. That kind of mindset, again, based in that capitalist or worker mentality, that honestly, that trap mentality, that keeps you focused on these external factors that may seem valuable from the outset, but don't really contribute to an inner feeling of peace. Versus a liberated mindset answer may look something like, I wake up every day and I'm excited for my day. I feel connected to my community, or I'm not afraid to be myself. I feel like I have time for what matters to me. And I feel free to explore and to grow. Right? I'll know I'm successful when I feel free to explore and grow. The fourth question is, when someone asks, how are you doing? What determines your answer to that? Someone with that capitalist mindset, they might go straight to, oh, okay, how's work doing? What recent achievement did I have at my job? Oh, my financial situation is such and such. Right? They may talk about how busy they are, or what achievement they've made in their career, or how much progress they've made on a work project. You ask someone with a liberated mindset how they're doing, and they're going to tell you how they're feeling internally, how they're going to tell you whether or not they feel like they are growing as a person, how their relationships are going, how their overall well-being is, and whether or not they perhaps feel aligned with their purpose, with where they're at. The last question I want you to ask is, what would you be most afraid to lose? Again, someone with that capitalist or that worker mentality, first thing they might say is, my job. I'm so afraid to lose my job. I'm so afraid to lose my salary. I'm so afraid to lose my professional reputation. I'm afraid to lose my social status or my possessions even. They're going to put this long laundry list. They might even say, I'm afraid to lose others' approval for my accomplishments. Someone with a liberated mindset might say that I'm afraid to lose my authentic self or my connection to my community. I'm afraid to lose my creative freedom. I'm afraid to lose sight of my values or my peace of mind. I'm afraid to lose my ability to set my own path. So if you're going through this checklist and you're thinking, oh crap, I have mostly capitalist answers or capitalist worker answers, I want to affirm that you're not broken. And I want to affirm that things can and will change for you once you stop using someone else's scorecard for success. You can genuinely change the game anytime you want. If you had answers that were centered mostly around a liberated mindset, well then, congratulations, you're already on the path. And I want to encourage you to keep going, to trust the process, especially and even when others don't fully understand the path that you're going down. And if your answers are mixed, well, that's the most interesting of all, because that means you're probably in transition right now from the mindset that you were socialized or raised to be in. It's your authentic self literally fighting right now to be free and to break free from old, deeply rooted, but also deeply toxic programming. So contrasting with my successful day that I mentioned earlier, a successful day now looks like I wake up and I feel ready for whatever the world has to throw at me. It's living free of this fear that my life should or needs to look a certain way. It's choosing to take care of myself in all of these little ways that I know are best for me. And for me, that isn't limited to, but includes moving my body, drinking plenty of water, filling my body with nutritious foods, and supporting my community as I can. Success to me means having multiple viable paths that I can consider before making a decision, having multiple paths to explore instead of just one ladder to climb. The most important aspect for me is being willing to fail so that I can learn. It means taking chances on myself. It means building my own feedback loop instead of waiting for the approval of others. I stopped optimizing for other people, their feedback, their approval, and I started optimizing for my own growth and for my own contentment and happiness. And that's when real success actually began for me. I also want to remind you now that the audit isn't about judging, it's about awareness. Once you can see the different games that are being played, you can choose which one you want to win. Most people live their entire lives trying to win at a game that was never designed for them. I was one of them. I tried to excel using metrics that literally made me miserable, desperate to climb ladders that led to places I didn't even want to go. Now, the beautiful thing about awareness is that it is the very first step to freedom. You can't change what you can't see. But once you see it, it's hard to unsee it. I want y'all to take the success audit and comment your results. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I am releasing videos weekly, and if you want to take a sneak peek of the topics I'll be touching on in the next few weeks, go ahead into the description to check out the link to my Substack that has 10 dispatches so far that outline my way of thinking, my way of moving about the world, and I encourage you to check it out. So until next time, remember, your worth is not tied to your productivity. Your value is not tied to your salary. And your identity is not your job title. Until next time, peace out.